My name is Randy Howell, and I'm a professional bass angler.
Yes. Oh my gosh, thank you, Lord.
Tournaments still drive me. It comes down to how you're wired and if you're made to do it or not. When you pick that rod up and you get on that clock and you got emotion flowing and you got the juices flowing and you got the score tracker updates.
Oh, thank you, Lord. I need to hug somebody. I need a hug.
And then I'm just full of adrenaline and fire when the competition starts.
Gosh, I love it.
That's the cool part about it, though. It's something that I've done for 30 years that still gets me so jacked up and still makes me shake. I'm such a tackle preparation nut. I'm very particular. If you didn't know that already, you probably look at my haircut and tell that I'm pretty particular, but I have to have everything just right. The biggest challenge for me all the time is time management. Mix in your life at home, which is a balancing act, and the longer you do it, the better you gotta be at one or the other. So I give the most time to my family, and that thrives, but then sometimes you kind of don't do as well in tournaments, in competition.
So you're saying it's your kid's fault?
Yeah, it's definitely kids' fault when you don't win tournaments. That's what it is. All right, I live on Lake Guntersville in Guntersville, Alabama. It's been a real blessing to live here and let our boys, grow up here fishing and hunting and learning, the resources of one of the greatest lakes. It's a great town, great community, great food, great fishing, just a really good place to live and a good place to vacation. All right, now we're in the midst of packing up to head to Lake St. Clair, Michigan, and we're going up there to hopefully find them big smallmouth and catch them.
So Robin, you guys have been together since high school?
We have.
What's Randy really like?
Randy's needy. But you know what? He is the sweetest guy you will ever meet. But when he gets in fish mode, that's called business Randy. During those times, I'm like, whoa, I'm not asking him anything.
You knew I was going to film you preparing tackle, but you couldn't stand it, could you?
So we've had this Bass Pro filming on the calendar here for a while, and I know it's going to take a lot of time. I'm so bad about doing things the way I do it in a method and a pattern, and I can't let somebody distract me and make me get off track. Tackle prep is real important, and I'm real anal about that. All right, now you guys are in the office with me. This is my Triton 21X RT office. I really worked on all this and got it ready to go before you got here. And let me show you kind of the method to my madness. You see in this boat here, all these towels, there's a reason for that. And I try to kind of cushion my compartment lids. That way they ride a lot better. And I've got all my boxes labeled here pretty much. Kind of got it all lined up right here so I can grab anything really quick and know what I've got. For the most part, Michigan this time in late June, it's going to be a shallower smallmouth bite, so I'm not loaded up with a bunch of deep water Livingston crankbaits here. I've got my shallow stuff, my jerk baits. I've got my 10 to 15 foot divers, is about as deep as I've got, the Livingston deep impacts. And then I've got my jerk baits, my deep jerk baits, my Neds, my spy baits, all my little niche things that you use for smallmouth. I've kind of got them lined up in here. Then I've got my big rod locker on these Tritons. You have the rod organizer in this side typically, and I take that out because I like to load this one locker up with all my rods, and I can really fit 40 plus rods in here because I don't need as many bait casters. I got a lot more Daiwa spinning rods in this rig this time, and I keep them all kind of lined up with these rod gloves so I can keep them organized. I can slide them in and out really easy. My plastic side over here, I usually keep a big Bass Pro duffel bag here. I have like an old milk crate in here that I keep in here. It's just a simple thing to put odds and ends and kind of miscellaneous stuff. So this is a real messy place, but a lot of stuff in here, and I'll probably take a lot of that out once I know what I'm going to fish with after practice. When you're on the clock, you don't want to waste any time, so got my spinning rod here, pull it right out, got my tackle box here, pop it right out, tie one on, got my plastics over here in this compartment, boom, boom, boom. I've got everything I need right there, and I'm back up fishing really fast. You don't want to spend as much time in this floor, because when you're down here, you're not getting paid. When you're up there, you're making the money. So part of my OCD problem probably and my organization problem and all the details and all the stuff that I've talked about today, it all comes out in this type of a haircut. So when you see hair like this, you gotta imagine this guy's got to have a problem with all these other things, and that's me.
And what's the deal with the hair?
Are you asking me or him?
The backstory of how it all started, I went to a Christian school in North Carolina. Real strict, couldn't have your hair touching your ears or your collar of your shirt. But that was the year that the old V hairstyle with the little rat tail came out. So next morning I walk into my Christian school, and as soon as I sit down in the class, my teacher sees it and picks me right up, takes me to the principal's office, calls my mom, say, you can't have this hairstyle, you gotta have it off his collar and blah, 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 or whatever. So she takes me back to the barber shop, and that's where the flat top began, right there, and that's how it happened. They had to cut it all off. And then it kind of stuck with me, because once you start something like this, you can't just grow your hair out and be pretty, man. It don't work like that. It's like a chia pet. It goes straight up. It don't ever go out or ever lay down. I got a cowlick here.
Whew. It's been a lot, because we have to schedule his hair around our lives. Like, it's a lot.
This has been the one thing that's driven her crazy over the years, because I've had so many hair problems all these years. But I've learned to cut it pretty good myself.
Well, you cut it after they cut it, so that's weird, but whatever.
Yeah. This is how I do it right here. Gotta lock that elbow in on the wall so you don't shake.
When I walk in the bathroom and I hear the cutter going and I see he's cutting his hair, I'm like, just walk back out. He's usually in there sweating.
So I don't want to mess it up. If you try to freehand it, you could dig in there and mess it up. I've done that a lot of times. It's trouble, man. I tell you, I've said a million times, I wish I could have a regular haircut. Almost done. People don't know how real this hair problem I've got is, you know. So me and Robin were high school sweethearts, and we went to school in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. We were friends for a while and started dating, you know, as soon as we were old enough to date at 16. And she was pretty, and she was athletic, she was smart, and she could throw a bait caster, she could set the hook. I mean, it was like a match made in heaven. So we got married 18, 19 years old. And the highlight of our life is our two boys, you know, Clair and Oakley, and they both grew up on the road. They've been to 40+ states, and they love to fish. And Oakley, more of my basketball player, he got into basketball more. But Clair, being the oldest one, he's the one that's always had the fire in him to want to be a professional bass angler. It's not something that we really encouraged him to do, because I know how hard the path is. But Clair he's been determined right off since he's been a little kid that he was going to do what I do. So it's exciting to see him growing up and seeing him chase his dream. And when I encourage kids about being a professional angler, I always say first that you definitely get your education first. And now with fishing teams in college and even scholarships in college, you can get an education and still fish and grow up learning how to fish. But when it comes to competition and the clock starts running, you can't teach that. That's something you gotta have in you, and you gotta develop yourself. How do you balance it? That's something I ask myself a lot. How do I balance it? I don't really know a lot of times. I try to be a good steward of everything that we have. And that starts with, you know, faith, family, and fishing. That's the three F's, and that's the order it has to be in. Your faith first, your family next, then fishing. Wherever you put your most time into, that's where it's gonna flourish the most, you know. It's going by so fast, you know, you grow up so fast, as everybody always says, and before you know it, you know, Clair's getting married and won't be, and then locally will be going off to college. But I know we made the most out of it. It's been really great. I don't think anybody ever looks back at the end of their career in any business or any sport and says, I wish I'd have put more time into this sport, or I wish I'd have put more time into my job. Everybody always says, I wish I'd have spent more time with my family. So that's the biggest thing. I got choked up. Let it go away for a minute. Whew. Glad I don't wear makeup anyway, so I don't have to worry about messing my eyes up. All right, y'all, here we go, Michigan bound. So next time y'all see me, it'll be in that Triton on Big Lake, St. Clair, Michigan in practice. So let's go, we'll see you guys out there. Well, my dad was the biggest reason I became a fisherman. My dad was totally eat up with bass fishing all of his life, and I was in the bass boat fishing all the time, striper fishing, bass fishing, crappie fishing, everything. And then my mom and dad bought a marina business, a fish camp marina business when I was 11 years old. She got me a bass boat. I mean, guiding at 11 and 12 years old, I had guys paying me $250 a day to take them fishing when I was 12 years old, and that's the God's honest truth. And I guided Kevin Costner when I was 14. My mom and dad said, we got a bunch of movie stars up here in the cabin. They want to go fishing tomorrow, so I stayed out of school the next day, made me a little moolah, and took these big stars out fishing, and we didn't know who any of them were. My parents hadn't been to the movies, I hadn't been to the movies, so I didn't know them from Adam, and they were so amazed, and they loved it, I think, because they finally could get away and nobody was bugging them. I had the Hardee's fishing team boat at 15 years old and fished team tournaments. I did that at 15, 16, and then had their support. Went right into Bassmaster tournaments at 17 years old. It just lit the fire in me that I definitely wanted to be a professional bass angler. I didn't have a plan B. And people always say, how did you make it? And you make it because you don't have a plan B. At 23 years old, I qualified for the Bassmaster Classic. In 1998, I got my first break. I won a Walmart FLW Tour event, and I won $100,000. And that was the first big check I won in 4 years of competition. And that's kind of when I finally was defined that I was here to stay, and I had success basically from 1998 on. I qualified for 12 classics in that 15-year span or so there. The highlight was winning that Bassmaster Classic in 2014. I was 9.5 pounds back in 11th place and miraculously come back and won by a pound. So it was kind of a shocker, not just for the world, but also for myself. I fished a good long career on the Bassmaster Tour, made 16 classics, about 50 top 10 events, and won about $2.1 million in career earnings, and really were blessed to have a good run there. When Bass Pro Tour started up in Major League Fishing in 2019, I just loved the style, I loved the format and the conservation effort with catch, weigh, and release. And last year I came back and had a really good season and started it out catching the Major League Fishing all-time biggest bass ever caught in Major League Fishing history.
Oh my God. Oh my Lord. That is huge.
I catch a 12-pound, 14-ouncer on camera and set the new record and my personal best record.
Oh, thank you, Lord. You gotta be kidding me.
I always pray when I catch my biggest bass, I hope it's got a camera in the boat that day, because I want to make sure you believe that I really did catch it.
Oh. I need to hug somebody. I need to hug you.
I still have the shakes, I have the adrenaline, I have the hard to sleep, I have all those things that I've had, 30, 35 years ago. I still have it today, and that's why I do it, and that's why I love it. Good morning, y'all. Man, we're out here, beautiful Lake St. Clair, smallmouth capital. I'm here at Anglers Point Marina. I always stay at this nice little marina here right on the water. Wind's blowing, it's gonna be a little choppy out there, but we're gonna put about a 14, 15 hour day in probably before it gets dark. We're kinda gonna fish some US water. We can fish in Canada, but we can't actually make a cast and fish in Canada until the actual competition day on Saturday. So it's gonna be a little tricky trying to idle around in Canada and look for fish without fishing. But we're gonna do that a little bit because I feel like they could have less pressure in Canada, so we're gonna see what we think about that. Got a little bit of a mayfly hatch, which is a unique thing to this Michigan area up here a lot on these lakes. When the mayflies hatch, the smallmouth, if you get in the area where they're at, there really be a lot of them around here. Well, making a little ride around out here, and I'm in this big anchor bay. If you can find a patch of grass and hard bottoms in these bays, you could find some schools of smallmouth. We want to find schools of fish on Lake St. Clair versus just one here, one there. So we just start shallow and go deeper till we figure out what depth they're in. There's one. It's a walleye. Ooh, you have to be careful with these dudes. We find a lot of bait out in these big areas. That's usually walleye will be right out here where the bait is, just like the smallmouth. The smallmouth on St. Clair tend to relate to grass a lot more than other smallmouth in other lakes, just because it's more of a shallower, grassy, sandy lake. Looks like a fish coming to get it. He got it. I saw him come after it. First smallmouth of the St. Clair season. Well, this is a bite, not a big one. This is the kind of here that'll get you sent home early if you catch little ones like that. He was right off the outside of that little patch of grass. I saw him go, and I felt it go, doom. Probably need them ready to move. There's a fish. Oh, he just come off, dang. Gotta discipline myself to just pick up and go because you can just keep fishing. Well, we're spending a lot of time in the seat of this Triton idling looking at the Lowrance right now. I'm kind of looking over a lot of my old waypoints from years ago. Find any rock or any little hard bottom places with a little weed growth around them. It's a needle in a haystack in this massive place, but if you can find the right spot, you might get on a little patch of them, so that's what we're looking for. There's one finally. Still don't feel like that they should all be out here this deep yet. Yeah, they're not out here this deeper stuff yet, not in this area. Now it's calmed down a little bit more. We've gotten over here to kind of a little more protected side where it's calm, so I decided to go a little shallower. So I'm gonna go with the shallow while the wind's not blowing too bad. Yep, that old Livingston walking balls. Oh, there's one. Oh, there's one. A little one. Oh, look, there's one. Oh, God, dang it. Well, we got a couple bites on that Livingston walking balls up there real shallow across those flats, but they're just random fish. All right, about lunchtime, and we've not really accomplished a whole lot, but that's part of what you do in practice. You eliminate a lot of stuff. If I might run up in this St. Clair River a ways and just see what it looks like while the water is cool. Go check that out and see what it looks like up this river. Look at them smallmouth busting right now. Holy cow. He just chased bait right there on that wall. Uh-oh, look at that. Smallmouth. I knew there had to be one around that wall somewhere. Saw some schooling right here, so we're gonna run some more of these little walls and see. Look at all the bait fish running down that wall. Look at them, solid bait fish. Gotta be smallmouth around with that much bait. There it is. That's a big one here. Look at that. Golly, that's a giant. Man, it could come right out. Look at that. God, look how long that is. That is a big old long brown one. My fishing style is very much a mess. I jump around, do a lot of different stuff till I get something going. I like to catch fish so many different ways. I try a lot of different stuff till I catch some. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. Especially in a big lake like Lake St. Clair. It's so massive. I don't know how many hundreds of miles of water you can actually fish. So you gotta wrap your mind around that and try to not do too much. And that's the hardest thing for me because I'm a versatile angler and I like to fish a lot of different ways. And so I'll get scattered around too much. You can't stretch yourself too thin. And when I do, that's usually when I struggle. It's not going quite as good as I'd hoped for today so far. We have eliminated a lot of water. That's the one positive thing. End of the day, we're gonna close it out. Remember old Jimmy Houston show. It's late in the day, the sun getting low. Caught me a big one, but I let him go. Sure had fun just watching him stretch my line. Shoot, yeah, it's 8 o'clock. It might as well be the last cast, right? Dang. All right, y'all, that's a wrap for my first day of practice. It's been a long day. We've been out here almost 14 hours, seen every kind of weather change you can have in one day. We'll be running some GoPros tomorrow and show you what we find. Hopefully we put it together and you guys get to see it, so we'll see you tomorrow. It's early morning, about to go out. It's raining, so we got all our Bass Pro Cabela's rain gear. I'm about to suit up and go out for a long day. It's supposed to rain all day till at least early afternoon. We got to be off the water at 6, and I fish tomorrow in Group A, so we got a lot of work to do, so let's go do it. Planning on making a run across that rough lake and trying to go on down toward the Detroit River and fish that direction and see what we can find, and hopefully we'll find something good. I fished for 12 hours and about, and it's rained all day. And I found some fish here and there. I caught one 4-pounder. I caught them on the Livingston Walking Boss top water. I could throw the top water and walking bait, cover a lot of water on real long casts with that and get bit here and there. Caught a lot of 2.5 pounders, but I don't think that size is good enough, but I don't know how tough it might be on everybody. You never know. We can't fish in Canada until tomorrow in the tournament day, so I practice in Canada. You can only idle and look on your trolling motor and your graph. So I did spend a lot of time over there this morning. I found some fish on the graph, on my Lowrance, on my active target, and I'm hoping I'm gonna probably fish blind over there in the morning and just start in that area and just see what we can do, and hopefully there's some fish there that's gonna surprise me, since I really didn't get to fish for them and catch them today. So that's my goal, my plan. I'm fishing Canada. I don't really know what I found. I just found the areas that look like they have bass in them, and I'm gonna go find out tomorrow. So. Well guys, it is Derby morning. This is the morning we all worked so hard for. This is the morning we get the juices flowing, woke up early. Excited about getting out there, see what we can see what we can do today. Canada opens today, and we're gonna be there while it's open and see if we can catch some over there on that side of the lake. So that moment of takeoff, when they call your name, they call your number, that's the best feeling ever. All the preparation, all the hours I've spent prepping my tackle, everything is perfect. And the only thing now is the variables that you can't control. You can't control the weather, you can't control the fish biting, but everything that I did in preparation for that moment has been done right. So I have confidence in what I'm doing, and I'm just full of adrenaline and fire when the competition starts. I heard Rick Clunn say, years ago in one of the tournaments on TV, and he said, the day I stop shaking is the day I'll stop fishing. And that's kind of the way I feel too. Well, the first day I went out in the lake, I fished a lot of water out there in the Canadian side that I was hoping was going to be good, and ended up not being good. But the mayfly hatch is going on this week here, and that's been a big technique for a lot of guys catching fish. I was around a lot of fish first morning, couldn't make them bite anything for some reason. It's a weird deal. I saw them schooling everywhere and never got them to bite. So today, though, I went up to St. Clair River, and that's the day caught a 5-pounder in practice off this seawall on the backside of an electric plant up there, and I went back, decided to start up there this morning and caught an almost 4-pounder there. And I mostly fished seawalls and current breaks in that swift river today. Saw a ton of 5-pound smallmouth, never could get them to bite today, but I did catch 17.5 pounds up there. Had a good time doing it. The tournament didn't quite turn out like I hoped, man. It's been a rough week. We had a bad first day we couldn't recover from. Day 2, which is today, my final day, was a better day. I had 17.5 pounds today. First day got me 3 fish, weighed 8 pounds, 10 ounces, and if I'd had a 17-pound day the first day, we'd have made the cut, but unfortunately, didn't work out. As you know by now, and you follow me along from the house all the way to Michigan, you can tell I'm a very detailed guy. So much so that I drive myself crazy a lot of the time, and I'll do a lot of preparation to make sure the details are covered. Then it's up to the bass, and the bass didn't cooperate this week.